Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Evo Gem podcast. I'm here with Maisie and Colby. As always, without further ado, let's just dive right into this topic for today.
Yeah, for sure. Today we're talking about the identity gap and basically just the gap of where you are right now to where you need to become. Because there's probably habits, there's things that you need to accomplish, obviously, to get to that state. So whoever wants to.
Yeah, I mean, identity this is just coming from a mastermind 2 weeks ago. We actually talked a lot about identity. And believe it or not, but millionaires struggle with identity. And they don't know, like they're trying to figure out what's the next identity to shift up to the next level. How do they make their 10 million? How do they make the 25? How do they make the 50, 100 million plus, right? And so we were talking about this, and Benjamin Hardy was there, and we were talking with him, and he said that it's important to note that the identity is something that you don't just like, you can't just like say this is who I'm going to become. Like, you have to actually tie it to an end goal. Your identity is actually shaped by the goals that you have. So whatever goals that you set, that is going to be the identity that you form. And he talks about this concept of being, then doing, and then having. So once you form those goals, it's up to you to act on those things. Act like your future self. Whoever that's going to be in the future, act like that person now, because that's the only way to become that person.
I think back to when I was starting business and everything, like I didn't fully understand this. I mean, I feel like I had to come up with my identity more recently, but back then I had no concept of this at all. But anyways, yeah, when I was starting my business early on, I feel like I didn't really understand the person I wanted to become. I didn't understand my goals, and so I wasn't stepping into that person. I also had a lot of imposter syndrome. Like, I never had started a business or done anything in that way before.
Right.
So I didn't want to consider myself a business owner at the time. And so I think that really that hindered my success and where I wanted to become or where I wanted to go to for so long, because I couldn't step into that role. But once I finally did, I got clear on what my goals were, how the person who was to achieve them was not the person that I currently was. Everything really shifted for me. Does that make sense?
For
Yeah,
sure.
absolutely.
For sure. I think another thing too that everyone has to keep in mind as well is discovering the identity and being brutally honest with yourself. Because a lot of people would like to think that they're entrepreneurs. A lot of people would like to think that they're a true investor when they're really not. And they're just trying to, I guess, fake it. But it's okay to fake it and to be that, but with actionable steps, right? Pursuing that identity and becoming that. And, you know, I think we've said this before in a podcast, in earlier podcast episodes, that we're always shifting in identity, right? We're always changing what our goals are, who we want to become at the end of the day. So, yeah, being brutally honest with yourself is one thing that's keeping people from creating that true identity about themselves, I think.
I feel like a lot of people too, they think like they have these big goals of where they want to be, but they're not going to change anything, and you can't get a different output with the same input.
Exactly. And it's the same thing with self-belief. It's like, okay, do you really believe that you're this? Some people just say it just to say it, right? And hoping, fingers crossed, one day it'll magically happen, you know, with little to no actionable steps, right? But
Manifesting it.
yeah, exactly. But manifesting is a real thing. It just requires a lot of patience and energy and focus and time and dedication towards that goal that you want to set down the road.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I guess to get more clear on that, I'm not talking about like manifesting and then like making it happen.
Yeah.
Some people think you can just like write it down on a piece of paper 10 times and then it's going to come true.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
Like, I mean, the truth of it is like, whatever situation you're going into, just think about how would I react, like how would I act like this 10 years in the future? And then like act on that, like act like that, right? Like, I mean, it's a simple idea of like if you think about having, like, if you were to have a kid right now, and then like imagine having a 3-year-old or a 4-year-old, you're not going to have that moment again. But your future self 10 years down the line is going to think back and will be like, oh, I wish I like did this. And it's going to think back to that moment. And you just have to put yourself in the frame of like, how do I wish I acted? And I think that dictates a lot of how we act now and who we become. is realizing that it's tied to our future self instead of like anchoring on past experiences and pulling from our past how we like and then reacting based on that, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. I like that.
Right. One thing too that it's kind of funny because sometimes if I walk past like a really nice car, I kind of give you guys an example. I will never take a picture in front of a really nice car. And the reason why is because like I have the mentality of, you know, I'm a successful person already. I have the amount of money to afford a vehicle like that. So like I don't need a picture to be taken because this won't be the last time I'll be seeing this, or this won't be the last time I'll be riding in this vehicle, or whatever the case may be, right? So that's kind of like very subtle subconscious decisions people make that is a reflection of themselves. And that's super important. Like if I think that $20 is going to be a big deal, I'm going to think about that until I break out of that mindset, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to be that way forever. I'm going to be very frugal with my money. If I take a picture, like, think about it like this. Do you ever see someone who's super successful, who has a lot of money, take a picture in front of a Lamborghini?
No,
I've
unless
never
it's their
seen that.
own.
Yeah, unless it's their own and they're doing it for marketing and stuff like that. It's completely different. But I'm saying, like, they see it like, whoa, Lamborghini, let me take a picture in front of it. No one's going to do that.
Yeah,
No one who's successful is going to do that. So,
Very
because they
true.
know that they can obtain that
Yeah.
at the end of the day.
I will say
So-
the one thing that I think is excluded from that is if you are like imagining like anchoring that as your future self. Like honestly, if I were to like have the goal to go get a nice car, I would go to a dealership. I would go to a Porsche dealership
Exactly.
and I would sit in the Porsche and get a picture of that, and then I'd put it on my wall and I'll be like,
Yes.
"Okay."
Vision board.
And then I would
Yes.
put a period like by this day I'm going to have this.
Exactly.
And then that's like in that case, I would 100% support that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Most of the people that like you're
That's what
mentioning,
I'm saying.
they're just like,
Yeah, they're just
I
trying to
get-
post it to I don't
Yeah.
know, maybe flaunt or impress people back at home or whatever.
Have you guys watched Friends? Do you know the episode where Joey just like he finds there's I think it's a Porsche in front of it's just parked in front of the coffee shop
Right.
they're always at, and he was leaning against it for some reason, and some girl thought it was his, so like his whole identity became
The
around
Porsche,
this
right?
Porsche,
Yeah.
and so then he like the car had left obviously because it wasn't his, and so then the same girls came back, but he had like a stack of boxes with like a tarp over it, and he was wearing like a ton of like Porsche clothes and stuff. Like obviously it's like comedy, but that just that reminds me of it. Like
Yeah, exactly.
That's funny.
Exactly. But yeah, like to what you were saying,
Yeah.
you know, there's many different reasons
Oh, yeah.
behind taking a picture of a car. You know, obviously there's many
Yeah.
things, but like I'm saying with the majority usually.
Yeah.
yeah,
for
it's
sure.
just to
Pictures
show
of
off.
the
Like
vehicle.
look
For
what
the
I did.
clout.
Yeah, or look
Yeah.
what I ran into. Oh my gosh, like it's kind of like if I were to experience going to Disney World, like I will not have a lot of opportunities to go to Disney World if I think so, and that's why I take a whole bunch of pictures, family pictures, so we could look back 5 years from there. But like if you know you're going to be there, why take pictures? If you know you're going to be there multiple
Sometimes it's
times.
for the memories though.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying like just to say that you're at
Oh,
Disney.
yeah, that
you
you-
know,
yeah.
for the aesthetic or whatever.
I mean, overall, honestly, when it comes down to like social media and stuff, I'm like, who cares? Like,
Yeah.
honestly, nobody cares.
Yes.
Nobody cares.
Yes.
Like, I mean, and then the people who do care, the people who do DM you and comment, what I found is, like, especially when you're experiencing success, they're wanting something, and
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't like. That's why I don't do it. Like, that's why I don't post a lot of that stuff anymore. Is like,
Yeah.
no, I don't want anyone who's just asking me for something.
Most of my videos are literally like me driving in my car, or me like at the gym, or getting like
Yeah.
doing everyday things.
Grind, yeah.
Because like, okay, cool. I go to Disneyland once every couple of years. Like
Exactly.
I could post a ton of content around that. It's not gonna resonate with who I want it to
Exactly.
resonate
No,
with.
not at all.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I don't know. And I also hate like there's a couple of family members that I can think of that just like they post a lot, or they post a lot of things that are meaningless in my eyes.
Yeah.
Like pictures of themselves to show that they're like doing good when I know they're not doing good.
Yes.
And it's like the
Yes.
highlight reel of things, and I it drives me nuts. I can't do that.
Yeah.
I can't do the highlight reel.
Exactly.
No.
Exactly. So yeah, that's kind of one thing. And another thing too is that I have a question for you guys.
Okay.
What do you think about identity with the trap of a potential ego forming within someone?
I have to think about that.
Do you think that there should be a balance of, because someone can tie their identity so much to where it becomes an ego?
Yeah, I can see what you're saying. I mean, I feel like any one of us, like the identities that we're stepping into, yeah, we have a sense of pride with it. And like once you said it earlier, like one day we're gonna have a whole bunch of money and we're gonna be investing in other businesses and stuff. Like when that time comes, like we're gonna be proud of ourselves for getting ourselves there. And even now, like we are proud of ourselves for what we've built. But it's like there's no reason to be cocky about it
Yeah.
or like be flashy about it and be like, look at my nice car that I bought.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Like I don't know, you get what I'm saying? Like there's like any of us with our mindset, I feel like it's just like we know the balance of not letting it turn into ego,
Yeah.
but I don't know. I guess it really depends on the reason you're wanting to become that person.
Right. Create self-awareness too, right? Behind forming that identity. But were you about to say something?
I would just probably say, I mean, just got to stay grounded no matter what level you're at, right? Like, ultimately, like, I'm like, my identity is not tied to the number in my bank account.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's tied to the impact that I'm creating. Money was only gonna last like when I die. Who's gonna give a crap about how much my bank account has in it? Maybe,
Your kids.
okay, maybe, yeah, maybe
Just
my
kidding.
kids. But like, I mean, honestly though, like the impact I want to create is so much bigger, and so focusing on something that's bigger than myself and that will outlive me is insanely more important. And so tying my identity to something larger than I am
Yeah.
is important.
I do really like that because I feel like last year I really had this like this thing in my head that I was going to become a self-made millionaire, and like that was like my identity, you could say, is like I wanted to be a young self-made millionaire.
Yeah.
Which like I still do. Like who doesn't want to be
Yeah.
a millionaire?
Yeah.
But like that's not at the forefront. I feel like me and Colby, we've talked about it a lot, but we have very similar passions and purposes
Yes.
and what we're wanting to create. And so that really resonates with me. It's just like that is so much more meaningful, and that's something that I'd rather be cocky, if you will, about being like I created this whole thing and I've made so much impact on this entire globe.
Yep.
Like I feel like that's way more of a flex than
Right.
I made $1 million and I bought a Lamborghini.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, for sure. Another thing too, man, I was about to say something, but
Played on my book with that one.
yeah, kind of like last episode, guys. You remember that?
That got
But
cut
yeah,
out.
another thing too, now I remember. Another thing too is that with the money standpoint of things, money will always be there, right? The money will be there. It's just like what Colby's saying, is the impact that you make and do something beyond you and your monetary needs, you know, and stuff like that. That'll bring the money in. The money will follow. As long as you stay true to yourself and true to what you want to become and what you want to do, and take the sacrifices to do
I feel like a buzz phrase too that we always hear is money can't buy happiness. I feel like the generations before us, like they've said it so many times, but as a younger generation, we are like seeing from like their mistakes, like we can feel the impact that it makes. That money really can't buy happiness.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people older than us kind of say that, but they also are still chasing money to create that for themselves. Does that make sense? So like we've identified the pattern and are just like not about that.
Yeah. Sometimes also, like I know people that they make their money, they make their fair share of money, and then it's like, so what's next, right? And then they get into this roadblock, and it's like, wow, like then they become depressed because it's like that's all they wanted to achieve was just to make a lot of money. And then when they get there, it's like what? It's like a number that goes up and down. At the end of the day, it's like, then it becomes like, wow, like so then what is my purpose? It's something like Colby said, greater than me, right?
A couple episodes ago, we talked about an event that we went to, and the person that was speaking, even though it was a little crazy, he did say something that really stuck out to me, and I feel like it was very true, was that having too much money is the number one cause of depression, and having not enough money is the number one cause of depression.
Yep.
Because obviously when you're in a state that you're in survival mode trying to get yourself on your feet and provide for your needs, that's hard.
Yeah.
I've been
sure.
there. Like it's not an easy place to be in, and it's very easy to get in your head. But also, like, once you have your needs met and you have all the things you want, like, what do you do now? Like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
true.
Yeah, but I think there's a guy. His name is Matt Atkinson. He's a very, very, very big real estate investor, and he does this yearly before the new year, or I think it's during the new year. He gives you a piece of paper, and I remember I was writing out this piece of paper of just goals that you want to achieve in real estate. And it asked me all of these different things like, okay, what are 3 goals that you want to achieve this year? What are 3 actionable steps within those goals, within each goal, that you're going to take to get yourself closer to that goal that you want to achieve this year? And it really makes you think, and it really makes you like, okay, well, what are the things I got to do? I have to think of like, I'm already doing it now before actually starting to do it. It's like think of the end goal now and then kind of like backtrack from the starting point that you are right now. And then like sometimes he even asks like, okay, what's your annual return that you want to make? And you're like, I've never thought of these questions,
Yeah.
right? And then that really
sure.
makes you think, it's like, okay, well, am I really asking myself like, I guess like enriching questions where it's like
Yeah.
really thought out, and you're like, oh well. And that's what I just wanted to say. It's like sometimes you just gotta sit down, write like 3 things you want to accomplish this year, and it doesn't even need to be in the beginning of the year or end of the year. New Year's resolution is bull crap.
I was gonna say, like, I went to another event and it was in December, and they were talking about like your New Year's goals. Okay, like, yeah, you can have New Year's goals, but start them now. Don't wait until January 1st.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
I think something super powerful that Benjamin Hardy practices and talks about in one of his books, Be Your Future Self Now, super relevant to our conversation, is he talks about writing letters to yourself, one from 1 year in the future, one from 5 years into the future, and one from 10 years into the future. But don't write them to your future self, write them from your future self. So who am I 1 year, 5 years, or 10 years? So
cool.
writing literally a letter to yourself as if you are that person to your old self.
that's super cool.
Super crazy,
Yeah, that's cool.
but it's super awesome and really puts things in perspective for what you want to do and accomplish.
That's awesome.
I like that. I have a question for you guys now.
Okay.
Taking away from Eddie's book. What current habits do you guys have that you may have not done before or you implemented to become the dream version of yourself, like the person that you're stepping into?
When I started, just with everything, this was like way before real estate and stuff like that. This was when I was still on the basketball grind. I would wake up and write 10 things about myself that I am already. Like I've already made it. Like what he was saying, like 10 years down the line, who am I going to become? And I just say, I am this, I am that, I am this, I am that. And that kind of like rewires your brain, the way you think. And then you kind of become that. Without actually becoming that yet, you become that, and you're transforming to become that version of yourself.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that I did. I just got up, and regardless of how I felt, whether if I was tired and writing it down, or when I was energized writing it down, I wrote down 10 to 20 things about myself, what I want to become. And some of those things that I wrote down is not applicable to where I'm at right now, but maybe 5 to 7 to 8 of those 10 things are still applicable that I'm still pursuing.
Yeah.
So
For sure.
I like
super cool.
that. That's one thing that I do too is I am statements. I have the same ones and I kind of just like read them over and I switch them. But I listened to the Diamond Life Mentor podcast by Balaj W. Cardos, and that podcast is pretty amazing. But he talks about the phrases and things that he said, like the wording that he used a long time ago. And one of the phrases that he used, he actually did it on Facebook. Like he would make these posts and then he would go back and look in his timeline and be like, wow, I was saying these things. And one of them is, I am in the process of creating a global prosperity movement. And now that's what he
crazy.
has. 10 years later, he has this movement around the entire globe.
That's wild.
And it's because of how specific he was. And so I've actually adapted that. It's very similar, but one of my I am statements I have in front of me is I am creating a global prosperity community full of women with similar values and visions to me. That's who I want to attract, and I'm being very intentional and putting that out into my brain and also the universe. So it's like
Right.
it's very intentional.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm not as deep down the affirmation as you guys are. You guys are more advanced than I am down there. I do journal every morning and every night. Every morning I write down what I'm going to protect, what I'm going to create, and what I'm saying no to. And then I write down my number one priority for the day. And then I write down the thing I'm going to do for the next 10 minutes to get started immediately. I do that thing for the next 10 minutes. And then I have another section at the bottom that's it's an appointment with my future self. And so it's just a time where I used for myself to either study or like really focus on myself and who I'm becoming. And then every night I write down 3 gains from the day. I write down one thing that I improved on, even if slightly. And then I write down my affirmation, which is I'm the kind of person who keeps promises to my future self, and that's all I have. But
I like
Nice.
that. That's also super specific though, and it
Yep.
sets you up for tasks to do every single day. You're gonna have to text me all the things that you just said because I did gratitude journaling for a while, and like obviously like it helped me be like more grateful and stuff, but I feel
Yeah.
like other than that it didn't really like help give me any
for
direction.
sure.
Like it obviously helped with my like energy and made me feel more positive about things because gratitude I feel like is a trait that, or a trait, whatever you want to call it, that we all should
Yeah.
have, and it should be like a habit of thinking of the things that you're grateful for. But also like just listing off a bunch of things I'm grateful for isn't going to get me to my goals.
Absolutely.
So I kind of stopped on that habit, but
Yeah, for sure. And habits do change, and we adapt through what's suitable for us,
Yeah.
right? So yeah, I think identity leads to a lot of habits. It leads to a lot of honesty, and self-awareness at the end of the day, in my opinion, to wrap that all up. But
Yeah.
yeah, I like that.
So
The next like bullet point or whatever I have is like how people self-sabotage when they're starting to get momentum to this dream state. I feel like this is something I can speak on a lot is fear of success. Colby talked about fear of failure in the last episode, which is something that a lot of people deal with, but something very specific that I've dealt with is the fear of success. Like in past models and past things, I have definitely done this where like I start getting traction and I'm like, okay, cool. I don't really know what's coming next, and so then I kind of just put a pause on everything because I don't. It's something psychological. I don't really understand it, but like you're scared of what happens next, I guess.
right.
And I've had to learn to recognize it, and just let myself know like it's fine. Like we're gonna figure it out. But I don't know if you guys have anything to add to that or.
Yeah, speaking of the fear of success, the only thing that I would potentially fear is just the whole, okay, I achieved what I wanted to achieve in the real estate game, and for the most part, obviously it's never ending. You can continue to grow, but where I wanted it to ideally be at. So what's next for me? See, that's the whole thing that I fear, because it's like if I don't find what's next for me after having a purpose behind growing my business and growing my bank account, becoming successful as just an entrepreneur and investor in general, it's like, what do I do now? And that's the only fear or emptiness. I feel like it's like a black void, right?
Yeah.
Where it's not as a fear, it's just more emptiness.
Yeah.
So that's kind of one thing that I feel like would stunt me a little bit while I'm like rapidly achieving and scaling and stuff like that. It's like, what's next?
I feel like that's what I've run into, and now that I've like been able to recognize that that's what it was in the past, I'm like not letting it like phase me anymore.
Yeah.
But also in like your case, I feel like just give it some time, and as you go on throughout your real estate career, you'll find like something's going to come across your path and you'll be like, wait, this is the next thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
For sure. I think I probably have too many things that I want to work on.
Me too.
Which, I mean, that's the thing, though. I think going back to what you were saying, Eddie, though, I think if I were to look at my past self, if I were to go back to high school, my number one thing was it was always results based, and it was about the money, and it was about the car, and it was about all those things. And the sabotage was literally in that it was not like there was not like a real motivator. Money is not a real motivator at the end of the day.
Yeah.
A nice car is not a real motivator at the end of the day. Like those are just assets, and they don't really matter. They're
Car's not an asset; it's a liability. But sorry, keep
Liability.
going.
Yeah, I mean, in the end, they're just gonna be like nothing, anyways. In the end of the day, right?
It's gonna lose
Like,
money or lose value, and
It will, and not even
Die.
that. It's not going to bring a sense of fulfillment or joy
Yeah.
for very long. It's not something sustainable.
Yeah, it's like if you got yourself a new car, right? The new car, the new feel is nice. It's convenient. It's fun to use for the first month or 2 or 3, but then after that, it's like, okay, well, this is now a part of my normal day-to-day life. So then it's like, what's next? Sure, I get people turning heads like, whoa, like nice car or whatever, but then it's like that becomes an everyday part of your life as well.
That contributes to the ego part of it that you were
Yeah.
saying earlier.
Yeah, exactly. And then it's like, and then that becomes an everyday thing, and it's just like all of that is normal.
Yeah.
But everyone aspires to be on that level until you get on that level, and then you start to get comfortable and accustomed to that level. Then it's like, what's next?
yeah, I remember what I was gonna say in the last episode. So
Okay.
if you
Oh,
listen
there
to
you go.
it, it was just a cliffhanger, okay? But I was going to talk about instant gratification. So many people, when they're desperate to like achieve success and to make money, like they are just looking for that instant gratification, and that's what cars and liabilities like that, and like boats, whatever it is that you're like, like your material item that you're wanting. It's just an
Yeah.
instant gratification.
Yeah.
I think it's almost. Yeah, go ahead.
Could be also, I would debate, depending on your intentions, traveling can be an instant gratification.
Yeah.
I feel like traveling, a lot of people, when they're not ready to travel, they still travel, and then they wonder why they're still stuck in the position that they're in.
I think based on both of those, I think honestly you can take the asset and liability label and put it on almost anything in a specific way.
Yes.
I think a car can be an asset. I mean, if I'm going to use it for charity drives, I feel like that's an asset.
Okay, that's true.
Now,
Okay.
I mean, but that's saying that is saying that it's fueling a different goal.
Yes.
I think traveling. I think money can be a liability.
Yeah.
Having a ton of money. I mean, just like looking at people who win the lottery.
Oh,
that-
they're
oh
on
my
their
goodness, tell me
deathbed.
about
that
it.
money is a liability, and it ends up costing them more than it ever did them good.
Yeah.
And so I think anything that you take, like it just again goes back to like what you said, motivation.
Yeah.
Like what is the motives behind what you're doing? What is the goal? What is the intention?
Yeah.
If you don't have that wired properly, any of it can be self-destructive.
Yeah.
I
for
like
sure.
that a lot.
Yeah, for your path, for your journey, or even for your identity, right? People go through identity crisis and they're millionaires.
Yeah.
They don't even know what's going on. Like, I'm sure there's a lot of celebrities or maybe just everyday people that have a lot of money in the bank. But the thing is that like they're still single, they're 45, they don't have kids, and then they're like, dude, like, what's there for me?
That's also why you hear so many celebrities and stuff just crashing out
Yeah.
because they have so much money, they have so much abundance of everything
Yes.
that they have, and they don't have anything to do with it.
Yeah.
Like they're not. Some of them are. Some of them have nonprofits and things that they're trying to do to give back to the world.
Sure.
But there's so many other ones that are just getting high and
Yeah, just trying
sitting
to,
there.
trying to cope with what is empty within them.
Yeah, fill that void.
So, yeah, and that could come in many forms.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be just, substance abuse or, it could be a lot of things.
Yeah.
Like it could be gambling or it could be whatever. I mean, there's many things.
Sure.
There's
There's so
crazy
many
things.
different things that people are doing that it's just, yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, I think that this is super important just for anyone who's hearing this and just starting out, because starting out is the hardest part. you know, like especially starting your business, creating that identity. Like that's why there's a lot of companies that they would rather buy out companies, other like existing companies,
Yeah.
because they don't want to start up on their own because it's like it's not in their circle of competence.
Yep.
You know?
And it's
You
it's
know?
like it's a risk of some sort. I mean,
Yeah.
acquiring businesses is also a risk, but it's like different level.
Right, because it's already set in stone, right? So it's all about stability and creating the foundation for yourself. And if you don't have that mentally, spiritually, and physically, you're gonna be off balance. I'm not gonna say like self-destructive, but it's gonna be off
I
balance.
think there's a phrase that, I mean, it's said so often and it's used as an analogy so often, but it's a phrase that, like, for when you're on an airplane, to put on the mask before you help others. But I think in this case where we're talking is a lot of like these people, they did successfully put on their own face mask, but now they're forgetting to put on the others because
Yeah.
we focus so much on putting on our own.
Yes,
Good.
yes, that was actually a good one. Yeah,
Just having that sole focus distorts the rest of your focus, I think.
right.
You just can't be selfish with it. You got to be humble. One thing that I was gonna say, I've done a couple trainings from Keala Kanai. He's a 9-figure entrepreneur who has owned multiple businesses. He's really cool. But the thing that he does now, his program is focused on neuroscience and finding your meta values. And so I did this exercise. I didn't go through his program yet, but I did this exercise where I identified like my core meta values. These are like the non-negotiables that I need to achieve in order to be happy and feel fulfilled. And I just honestly just had a talk with Jen Spark and figured out all of my meta values, and me and Owen did the same thing. But mine, like the top was like my life's purpose and creating Shield USA and all the things. Like if I don't fulfill that, then I'm not going to be happy, and helping other people, and that everyone's is going to look different. Like that may not be at the top for you, and that's perfectly fine, but creating 5 to 10 meta values and figuring out what your non-negotiables in your life, I feel like that's super important to help you step into that identity that you want to be in, because before then, I think my second one is financial freedom. And so I didn't understand for a while, like last year was a really hard year. I didn't understand like why it was so hard, because I was like, we're fine, we're living, we're in debt, but we're living.
Yeah.
But it was because I was tied down to making money, and I was
Right.
tied down to that. I was not in a space that I could have any freedom. And so that really helped me identify that and figure out where I need to go in order
Right.
to progress.
Makes sense. Yeah, it's definitely a never-ending topic to kind of with yourself to discover, and it's always about self-discovery. There's going to be things. I mean, with me, there's things that I haven't discovered about myself yet, and I will be in the next month, 6 months, year, 5 years. But at the end of the day, you're always trying to look for more than, like what Kobe said, more than yourself. You're always trying to look for, okay, what are the external impacts that I can create for others in whatever sector? It can even be within business itself. Like there's a lot of people that go up to influential people and say, man, you changed my life. Like I used to be in this position and now I'm in this position, and I thank you for that. That within itself is so fulfilling. So yeah, that's kind of what I think about identity at the end of the day, is just never ending. It's a journey that will last until you die. So.
Of this now. The only other thing that we haven't really talked about that I want to touch on is like why skill alone and like, I don't know, knowing these things or knowing anything really doesn't change your results, doesn't change your income or whatever it is that you're looking to achieve.
Interesting. When you mean by skill, is it like, are you talking talent or skill?
I think it could be perceived both ways. The way that I'm thinking about it is like, I can know a lot of things, but if I don't do anything with that knowledge, I'm never going to see any results.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, about that, like with the whole knowledge aspect, like it's the same thing with school. Like if I'm studying to become an investment banker, I'm not going to come out of the gates and be the best, right? Because there's people who've done it for 30 years, 40 years, 25 years, that they've been through so much and they've experienced and lived out that investment banker lifestyle to where they know what to do with Excel spreadsheets. They know how to, IPO a company, and whatever the case may be. But that's one thing when it comes to knowledge, is that like the best teacher, the best knowledge provider will be experience. And that's why, like, when I started my real estate thing, I didn't even have like a script. I didn't have like a script to follow, to call. Like, I just called agents and said, hey, are you interested in X, Y, and Z? And I didn't even like have a regular conversation with the agent. I just went full in. And then as time went, and as like more repetition, more takes I took, the more I started to learn and more I started to tweak to what's comfortable for me. Because one script is not going to be universal for everyone.
Yeah.
It's going to be, you're going to have to fit to how you are in your personality when it comes to talking to people and stuff like that. A lot of people have their different forms and ways and methods to get across their message and points. So, which I think is super important, hence why it leads to identity, right? So,
Yeah.
that's what I think.
I like that. Yeah, I just feel like unless it's something that's going to actually help me get results at this point, because I used to kind of just invest in honestly like any opportunity that I came across, whether it was time, whether it was money, whatever it required of me. But now I've been more intentional on that focus of like, if this is not going to help me move to where I want to go right now, then I'm not gonna give it a second thought, because like I said, I can know a lot of things. But I do know a lot of things about a lot of different things, but not all of that knowledge is getting me anywhere.
Sure, yeah. And that knowledge is only there to support the very base of what you're trying to build. But the building part is what you're gonna have to experience, right? It's like setting out a blueprint. It's like, I know how to set out a blueprint, but do I know how to build the structure?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, guys, for everyone who's listening, don't be stuck in the consumer cycle, because the consumer cycle is just going to lead you to just spending a lot of money for nothing and a lot of time wasted.
Like that video, throwing your credit card at the...
Yeah, exactly. So it's good to consume, but to a certain limit, to a certain point. Just keep that in mind, guys.
Yeah. I think to both of your guys' points, the thing I would touch on is, I think I'm now in the place where I'm more willing to invest my money rather than time. I think a year ago, maybe even 6 months ago, I was more willing to invest time than money. Now I'm way more strict about how my time is spent. And if money can achieve something that I can't inherently just do on my own, then like I usually will throw it at it. I think instead of focusing on skills and things that we can develop, well, one, the quote, I think I've said this in a previous episode, the quote that knowledge is power is not true. Execution and action is power, because how many times have people gone to college and learned all these things? How many times have, to this other person's point, we were all in this mastermind, we all have been learning from Russell Brunson, yet we're not all at his level.
Yeah.
So the notion that knowledge is power is not true, because you can have all the knowledge and you can not have anything because you didn't take action, right?
Yeah, and not utilize it.
That being said, I think that the idea of feeling like you need all these different skills as well, I think is also a false notion, because I think you can become the best at the one skill that you love the most and get the right people around you to do the other things and become the best at what they do. So you can not only empower yourself, become the absolute best at this one thing, but you can empower others to become the absolute best at their thing as well. And I think that is like truly becoming something or someone that develops other people as well.
For sure. I agree. Yeah, well said.
That's how I've got. Like, I don't have anything to add to that.
Yeah. Well, is that all that we had for this episode?
Yeah.
Well, guys, thank you for joining and listening throughout the whole episode, and stay tuned for more updates. We'll be always posting. We're going to stay as active as possible, and check out the EvoGen community and see if you guys would be interested in joining. And stay tuned for the next one. Peace out.
Just kidding. Not peace out yet.
Oh.
This week that this episode is coming out is when Colby is doing his AI event. He is going to teach about his AI employees, Jay and Jake, and how so many people can just implement this in their lives. By the time you're hearing this, it's probably too late to get a spot, but I think you're planning on doing a couple of them, aren't you?
Yeah, I'll have a couple of them.
Yeah, they're mostly focused for EvoGen people who are interested in entrepreneurship and implementing AI into their businesses. So yeah, just stay tuned for more updates on that. We'll post them all on Instagram. So
Stay tuned.
Yeah.